Coming up on Tech News today, WordPress is under attack. So's the time zone database. Actually, the guy is just tired and he's retiring. Somebody else is going to have to take over maintaining that thing. And iPads not only may kill PC sales, but they have developed a new species of man, the undercover cupboard lover. We'll explain next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tech News Today for Thursday, March 3rd, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by MailRoute.info. MailRoute is a secure hosted service that provides enterprise-grade virus and spam filtering to companies of any size. Try it right now, absolutely free, at MailRoute.info. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Jason Howell. And this is the show where we kick around the tech news of the day and try to make some sense of everything for you. Give you the real story behind the story.
Give you the dirt.
We have joining us someone who just posted a story.
What?
Behind a story.
What?
Actually, it was the story of a story. Mr. MG Siegler, writer at TechCrunch.
Yeah, hi. How's it going?
Thank you for taking a break from your horrid posting schedule to talk with us on TNT. You never stop working.
Yeah, news never stops. So.
That's true.
Oh, boy.
The news never
that
stops,
sounds
Lane.
like just something a writer would say. News never stops. I'm that important.
You can't take a break for the news, Lane.
No.
All right. We're sort of experiencing, we were talking about this before the show, the effect of a tsunami when it sucks all the water out of the harbor before it hits, except in reverse. The Apple news yesterday sucked all the news out of the news world.
Right.
I'll say.
I think a lot of people wanted to get stuff out right before it, and then they kind of are waiting a few days after.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a vacuum. So not a lot of like earth-changing stories today. Some interesting stuff though. RIM is preparing, according to Boy Genius Report, to bring BlackBerry Messenger to Android and iOS. The idea would be that the Android app would come out sometime this year. An iOS version would come out later. It would be a stripped-down version of BlackBerry Messenger. No word on how much it would cost. But Daryl Etherington over at GigaOM had a really interesting take on this rumor, if it's true, saying that this could be RIM having their IBM moment. IBM got out of hardware and said, we're going to be an enterprise service business. Maybe RIM's looking at the declining sales of hardware saying, you know what, we need to prepare to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he also brought up the good point, though, that this is kind of RIM doing it maybe a little bit too late. IBM had more foresight a little bit to do this. RIM doing it right now, you know, they see the iPhone, they see all the Android devices, they know they have to change things, but, you know, are they going to be too late to do that? And also, I mean, this is kind of weird because this is really their bread and butter. I mean, this thing, if they bring it to the messaging services, they bring it to the other platforms, that's like, why on earth would you buy a BlackBerry device then?
Well, yeah, I mean, it does abandon that market, right? You just get BlackBerry Messenger on your Android. And
right.
But you could also see that, I mean, you could argue that, yeah, they're getting into this decision maybe on the late side, but it's also proactive if their sales are just going to continue to erode.
Yeah, but they do. I mean, they need to figure out a way to charge for this then, which they're, you know, right now the way that they do it is through BlackBerry services, through people buying the devices themselves. If they need to get this into software, they need to start doing that.
There has to be a price for that software. Who's
right.
the Lenovo in this scenario, though? Who buys the RIM hardware business away?
Probably Microsoft.
Cashes it out. Nokia.
Yeah, Nokia. Actually, yeah, right.
Nokia picks up everything these days.
Yeah.
They'll take anything. The other interesting thing about this story in GigaOM is they mentioned that RIM actually might be playing around with putting Android out on their devices, having some Android-based BlackBerries.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors about that. Or, you know, what would it be? That they could run apps, right, specifically?
Yeah, there's been rumors about the Playbook being able to run Android apps.
Yeah,
I've seen those.
Yeah, that could be, you know, Android's got a huge marketplace right now. BlackBerry, of course, tried to do all the market stuff, and it's just not working out very well. So, you know, that makes sense.
On to something that affected MG directly this morning, WordPress.com, and the service that provides blogging backend to a lot of companies, including TechCrunch, suffered what Matt Mullenweg called the largest denial of service attack it's seen in its 6 years. And he suspects that it could be politically motivated against one of their non-English blogs, but they're just hitting the direct domain. So it affects everyone. You said you experienced this, right?
I think that non-English domain is totally TechCrunch France. It's definitely what it is. No, first of all, WordPress.com is great. They've hosted us for a while, and we really don't have very many issues with them. Of course, this is totally out of their control if they're getting whatever the insane amount of attack data sent at them that it was. But yes, they were down for a little bit this morning. That was pretty awful when I was trying to get 3 posts up at a set amount of time, and they got it back up pretty quickly.
You've got a workaround.
No,
it's down,
it's
down.
And it looked like the front end of TechCrunch was still up, which is great, but the back end was totally down. We couldn't even go in, couldn't do anything about it. So
you could enter your data, but you couldn't publish it.
Yeah, you couldn't publish it at all.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Android is the best in the world. Oh, actually, in the United States, at smartphone operating systems, according to Nielsen's new number. Nielsen report smartphone platform and smartphone maker penetration from November 2010 through January 2011. Google's Android platform rose to hold 29% of the U.S. smartphone market. That puts it just in front of iOS at 27%, tied with BlackBerry, still doing well at 27% in the U.S. Microsoft at 10%, WebOS 4%, and Symbian at 2%.
So this is best in terms of units sold.
Yes,
it's
based
not
on
making
operating
any claims
system,
on
right. In the U.S.
What makes people the happiest?
Yeah.
Now, manufacturing-wise, you get a little different picture. These are, the folks who make the handsets. Android, obviously, not so dominant because they're not a manufacturer. They're just an operating system. So Apple, which does both, and RIM, which does both, leads the way with 19%, HTC at 12%, Motorola 11%, Samsung 7%, and then HP and Nokia.
I think this is so much better of a way to look at numbers. And Gadget had a nice visual that at least our video viewers can see right now is, I mean, you look at the Android side of things, and it makes a lot of sense. It's like, yes, Android, they just have so many manufacturers. They've got HTC, they've got Motorola, they've got Samsung. How do those stack up against each other? Well, turns out HTC has the edge right now, but that's more interesting to me than just lumping everything into Android and saying Android has the most,
right?
Because it depends on.
This has been, these reports come out now. This has been going on for at least 6 months, where people say like, oh, Android is poised, or they have overtaken iOS. I mean, it's ridiculous. Of course they're going to do it. They have so many devices. There's hundreds of devices versus 1 or maybe 2, if you count the older iPhone that's still for sale. But, of course they're going to far surpass. The fact that it took that long is kind of weird. And the fact that they're not that far past is a little bit weird. But eventually, they will get far past. And that speaks, also to how poorly Microsoft is doing. The fact that they also are on many devices and they can't seem to match what Apple and RIM are doing.
Well, you don't want to take too much away from Android, though. I mean, Apple only has a couple of devices, a handful if you count old models out there. But RIM has several models, and also Nokia has tons of models.
Yeah, sure.
So
of course
they are doing something right, but they do have an advantage when you compare them directly to Apple at the number of platforms.
Right, and that's the way obviously most people do. It's kind of a two-horse race at this point. So,
all right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, MailRoute. If you've got spam, you don't have to have it anymore. Go to mailroute.info and sign up. If you run your own domain name, all you do is edit the MX record so that your email is forwarded first to MailRoute servers, where they strip out viruses and spam and then send you only the things that are good mail. You don't have to have a junk mail folder to rummage through anymore, because they don't have false positives. You get the good stuff, the bad stuff stays away, and it's an incredible service that you get to try out for free. Visit mailroute.info to sign up as a TWiT listener. You'll receive a 10% discount on the life of your account. Small business accounts start at $2 per user per month for 10 users, and that's really what the service is designed for folks who run small businesses. But if you're an individual and you're like, hey, I run my own domain, I want to take advantage of this, MailRoute has a service for you, less than $30 per user per year for single users. Just go to mailroute.info. I use it on a web address that I had not been able to use for a decade and revived it. So I can attest, it really does work. Let's move on to something that won't work for very much longer, and those are the danger servers owned by Microsoft. We mentioned this yesterday, that T-Mobile and Microsoft have announced they're going to shut those down. And if you didn't hear that story, what that means, if you own a Sidekick, you won't have anything but the ability to make calls and send text messages. No data on there, no contact lists. All that stuff is cloud-based, so it goes away once they shut off those servers in May. T-Mobile has announced today they will give current Sidekick owners 50% off select Samsung phones, as long as you sign up for a new 2-year contract, or they'll waive your early termination fee anytime now between March 31st and May 31st.
There isn't some way to port that data into...
You can back it up yourself. They actually give you a tool at tmobile.com to do that. But then
it wouldn't be connected to your
there's no
device
storage
anymore.
on the Sidekick anymore, so you're stuck with a Sidekick that wouldn't be able to have the data that you just backed up.
I mean, how many Sidekicks were sold?
Well, everybody needs a Sidekick.
I had a
That's what
Sidekick
Snoop Dogg
too
told
back
me.
in the day. It was diamond encrusted. Come on, I had my Sidekick.
Yeah, the
time.
Swarovski Sidekick.
I didn't really, but I coveted others.
You stole one from him.
I did have a Sidekick though. I had one for a while, but I assume that this is a move that they can now make because there are so few Sidekick owners.
Right. And, they don't talk... I don't know. Is there a way that they could, there could be some kind of Android app to port over all that data to do it?
That would be cool because they have the app to actually bring it down, on a computer and back it up. That would be cool if you had something that would bring it back up if you bought, say, a Samsung Galaxy S phone.
Right. Just some service to do it quickly right in the store or whatever for people who still have Sidekicks. Probably not the most tech-savvy people, in the world right now, so that could be helpful to them.
Right, because you have to do this by May 31st. May 31st is when the servers go off. So if you had an Android app that was able to just tap in and grab that stuff and bring it over to your new phone, that'd be brilliant. Take a hint, T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just giving away free advice here.
Google needs some free advice. They have pimped out their personal profiles once again. These are their attempt to give you a home on the web. Perhaps we might call it a home page.
Oh, yeah. Landing page, I think, is another term for it.
No, I think homepage is about right technical level of assessment for this.
Yeah.
it reminds me a little of an early GeoCities attempt.
Well, it's like Google. It's Google's what about.me kind of thing. I mean, it's all the same idea. It's just a little bit. Well, Google had Google profiles long before About Me came along.
Right. It was always very ugly. Well, not ugly, even just sparse and kind of
spare.
Very weird. It's a lot cleaned up now. It does look a lot better, but it's still, it's still designed by Google, which is
the thing. I mean, I'm looking at my profile right now because
do you have the new one?
Yeah, and see, and because Scoble mentioned that he had his, and so I looked at his and I went, I don't know, what am I missing? And then I looked at mine. And I couldn't tell the difference. It doesn't really look that different.
Yeah, I have the new one too. And according to the Mashable article,
it's fine.
You've got a photo in the top left corner, essential information about you below, a scrapbook of photos and more detailed info about your occupation, employment, education dominates the biggest part of the page.
Right.
That stuff used to be in a tab.
Right.
But honestly, I looked at it this morning too, and I was like, is it really different?
I think if you're logged in, you see the new one. Sarah, I'm checking yours out right now, and I'm still seeing the old one.
You're seeing the old one there.
So if you're not logged
that's
in, you're still seeing what you should have, what you've always been seeing, which is just
you
messy.
better follow me, because I am pretty big deal.
They did keep the Buzz tab, though.
Click.
Of course, that's right next to there. That was there originally.
Talk about not taking the hint. Really? Okay. Well, I guess you just didn't want to throw it away. All that. It's a lot of work.
All of this, of course, is probably a part of what they've been doing in social. The +1 stuff, all those the pictures of the toolbar and everything. They launched the toolbar for most people now up there, and eventually they'll probably have your little avatar that you pick for this profile will be up there next to your picture, and you'll be able to share stuff.
In a way, this is the right way for Google to go about this. Very slowly, very incrementally. Don't try to just launch something and go head-to-head with Facebook. Do things that make sense in your ecosystem. And this does, because when you search on Google for your name, if you have one of these, this will come up first. And so it gives you control of what people see when they search on you.
You know, one thing I noticed with this new profile is if you click Edit, and this was not an option I had previously. Right at the bottom of my edit page, it has a one-click option to delete my profile and disable Google Buzz completely, which wipes out any activity I've ever had on Google Buzz. So if you're trying to clean up a reputation, perhaps, then it's as if you were never here. Hey, I just don't use Buzz. I don't. There's nothing to hide.
And just to mention real quick, D-Dog in the chat room actually says that if you use the old URL, which is google.com/profile/name, you get the old profile. You use profiles.google.com/name, you get the new one.
Well, that
potentially.
certainly isn't confusing.
I know, especially when you go to Google and search for it, and you get the old one, which is what I did for you.
Right.
And when you have people going on YouTube and looking at that and thinking that's going to be your Google profile, and it's a totally different profile, and Google Reader and all these other things. There's,
Yeah.
It all makes sense in the end.
One profile to rule them all, except that it doesn't.
All right, we have some iPad fallout to deal with from the big announcement yesterday. AT&T has confirmed that the iPhone hotspot feature coming in iOS 4.3 will be available at the same price as their current tethering plan. $25 data plan gives you 2 gigabytes per month plus an extra $20 tethering charge. So it's pretty much $45 per month for 4 gigabytes of data plus hotspot sharing when iOS 4.3 arrives. And that plan will be able to take effect on March 11th. They've also added a new twist to the iPad data plan, a postpaid iPad plan. So this took a while for me to wrap my head around what is actually a very simple concept, which is it's like prepaid, except prepaid bills your credit card, and this will bill your cell phone bill. So
Right.
instead of
paying
prepaying
twice,
it's
you can pay
just
once.
billing you after. But it's essentially the same.
It's the same
concept.
thing. They give you a little bit of a perk to do it because the data after the initial 2 gigs, anytime you go over that, it was a higher rate. This will be a lower rate if you use this new plan.
So if you have bad credit, you're still going to have to use prepaid. But if you had good credit, but you just don't want to sign a contract, you use postpaid, and then you get billed, and you have a little cheaper overage charge.
There are a variety of folks who say, for example, I don't really use my iPad that much. I use mine daily, but it's not for everybody. Maybe you go on vacation and you don't want to bring your laptop, and it's like the perfect 2 weeks where you're going to be using it a lot, and it doesn't make sense to be paying
How much of the
those months.
3G data do you use? Do you look at that ever?
Well, I have unlimited, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
I was in a grandfathered.
Oh, right.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Because I'll be honest, I have a Wi-Fi iPad. I don't have a 3G iPad, and I use a MiFi when I need that kind of 3G situation. Yep. I pull that MiFi out for the iPad on vacation and on the very rare time that I'm not driving myself to work and I want to look at feeds on the iPad.
All right.
Or maybe if you're sitting in an airport and there's no free Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah,
it comes up.
A lot of airports have
daily.
it, but yeah, exactly.
So this
especially now that a lot of iPad owners obviously have iPhones. Now that the iPhone has this hotspot feature and it's coming to the AT&T version, why not just use that instead of paying, for the 3G separately on top of that, with the
because again, if you're really just using it sporadically throughout the year, then you don't want to pay your monthly tethering plan either.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's nice to have options.
iPad is going to cut the PC market down to size, according to Gartner. They now have...
they won't stop.
They've changed their estimation. PC shipments will now grow by 10.5%, they say, in the coming year, down from the robust 16%. It doesn't get better in 2012 either, according to Gartner. They expect growth of 13.6%, down from 14.8%, essentially saying that folks aren't buying laptops anymore. They are buying them, but they buy them less frequently. They don't change them out all the time, and they're using iPhones and Blackberries and tablets as a replacement. And now that the iPad 2 is out, they think it's going to be a robust tablet market out there.
I know I sound like a broken record, but this is very obvious, and I don't know why they put out these reports as if anyone's supposed to be shocked.
Well,
of course it's going to eat into the PC market.
I think that PC makers were spoiled for so long, the fact that people would upgrade so often, and now that more and more people have computers, a lot of the world's population does, and smartphones are growing even faster than that, it's just, it's inevitable that this was going to happen, that there's going to be people who don't need to upgrade their PCs all the time.
Although Gartner knew that an iPad 2 was going to come out.
Right, well,
they
they're
didn't
analysts,
figure that into their earlier estimate.
They're right on top of things, of course.
Also, All Things D passing along a Wall Street Journal article that says that with the new launch of the iPad, part makers, component makers like Samsung Electronics and LG Display stand to benefit from an increase in sales. They think iPad 2 is going to sell really well, but profit margins could actually slip for these component makers at the same time because of the number of tablets being sold. There's more competition amongst the component makers, which could drive the price of the components down, and it could drive the price of the tablets down, which would be good for us. But so that increased sales might not mean as much increased revenue for the component makers. All this means to me is tablet prices might go down. That's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for us.
I like that.
Well, I mean, there's certainly going to be an influx of supply, at least this year.
Yes.
I mean, this time next year, it's like, what tablet do you want? You have 25 to choose from.
A few other iPad-related stories just in dribs and drabs here. Gazelle, a constant sponsor of TWiT shows, says that they have been seeing a flood of people selling their iPads back to them, thus driving the price slowly downward. So if you're thinking about selling your iPad, you might want to get it out there on the market now, sooner than later.
Well, you know, what you should have done is gone through Gazelle on Wednesday. Through Tuesday, rather.
Right, before the
Tuesday,
announcement. Exactly.
yeah,
Because you knew a new one was coming, and you knew you were probably going to get it.
But if you didn't do that, you know, Gazelle actually was an iPad Today sponsor, and Leo and I went through the process, and we were still getting like $350 for.
Someone said that it had
30
dropped
for
like
a 32.
$50 in the past day.
Well,
or
it might have
something.
dropped $50, but it's still a really good. I mean, if you want to upgrade to the iPad 2 and you think, well, this is wasteful, and I just bought a original iPad, then you're certainly going to be able to get some of that money back.
Now, if you just bought an iPad, you may actually qualify for a $100 refund. Apple offering $100 back to customers who purchased the iPad before the price drop yesterday. The refund will be applied to a person's credit card and applies to all first-generation iPads. There is a catch. According to customer service, Apple's offering the refund only to those who purchased the last-gen tablet within 14 days of yesterday's announcement.
Okay, because I was going to say that applies to me.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Hey, I just bought this a year ago. Can I get $100 back,
it's a new
please?
device, less than a year old. So
I don't have the receipt.
So if you bought an iPad less than 2 weeks ago, then you can get a $100 rebate.
And that's because they dropped the price $100, right?
Well, and it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to upset everybody.
And finally, Walmart and Best Buy advertised the availability of Apple's iPad 2. Best Buy says it will have it on launch day March 11th. Haven't seen whether Walmart has clarified that or not, so we don't know for sure whether they're going to have it on launch day or not.
Yeah, what's a little weird about this is all the rumors leading up to the iPad 2 launch were talking about how supplies would be constrained and maybe they would even have to push the launch of the iPad 2. But if they're going to launch it, on this March 11th date with not only at Apple stores, on Apple.com, and now with Best Buy, I mean, those are the huge retailers in the United States. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, they're doing 26 or whatever other countries.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like things are too constrained unless it's Apple buying up all the...
Yeah, I tell you what's constrained is anybody trying to make anything besides an iPad because they bought up all the components.
Right. Good luck, Zoom.
And they're not doing pre-orders either.
Yeah.
Which if they had a constrained supply, you'd think they'd be bending over backwards to make sure that they got pre-orders in there so they could reserve the right amount and tell people, hey, you're not going to get it right away.
Now, why am I hearing conflicting reports that there will be pre-orders available?
There may be, but they haven't announced it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
when are
these
they going to do it? I mean, we're a week away tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The day before. Oh,
Yeah.
pre-orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they will do it tomorrow.
You never know. All right, on down to the news fuse.
Whoa. CJ Land sent that one in.
Nice news.
That's a news
Awesome.
fuse reboot right there.
CJ, well done.
Yeah.
Gmail should be back up and fully restored. That was actually video of Gmail being restored. For the thousands of users who lost messages or were unable to log into their accounts over the last 4 days, Google said late Wednesday night that they got everybody back. They did caution that there was a chance some users could still be having Gmail problems, and if you are one of them, you should contact them. Send an email to gmail.maintenance@google.com. Although you won't be able to send that Gmail from your Gmail account.
No, you'll have to use something else. Wouldn't it suck
Sign
to be
up
one
for
of those
Hotmail.
people where you're like, actually, no, still missing all my email.
Oh, that
So
would
good
suck,
Gmail's
yeah.
like, it's everybody. Everybody's fine.
Everybody's fine except for you.
Also back up is the Windows Phone 7 update, software update for Samsung smartphones, which Microsoft had suspended after reports of tech glitches and stalls. Wah, wah. The software patch is being sent out on a rolling schedule, so you see a message on your phone. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
On your phone when it's available, and hopefully the future updates that bring actual functions, like copy paste that we've been hearing so much about, will be as smooth as silk or satin or pudding now.
Pudding. Chocolate pudding.
It's smooth.
Pudding pops.
Oh, yeah.
The Spam King is free.
Yeah. Oh.
After nearly 4 years in prison, Robert Soloway, who admitted to sending more than 10 trillion spam emails in his career, was released from the Federal Correctional Institution in Sheridan, Oregon. He told Wired his spamming days are over. Probation officers will actually monitor every email Soloway sends and every web page he visits for the next 3 years. Very Mitnick-like. I so want his email address.
Oh, yeah. You know who Robert should not hook up with ever? Charlie Sheen.
Yes.
Things could get bad.
Best buddies.
You know what you got to do? You got to stop paying attention to those people. They're not winning.
They'll go away.
You want to win? And what would make a great Saturday morning cartoon for patent geeks, Microsoft and Google have joined forces to fight patent crime. Yes, they're filing suit against a company that holds a geotagging patent and sued 397 companies just last year. The Wonder Tech twins want the patent declared invalid and seek an injunction to prevent further lawsuits over it. Oh, and right when the patent troll was filing an IPO, too. So, foiled again! Curses!
To the patent mobile. Demand Media has made its first acquisition since its initial public offering in January, purchasing popular live blogging tool Cover It Live. The purchase will bolster Demand Media's Pluck social media platform. Why did they name it Pluck?
Because it's funny.
Anyway, Pluck lets customers add online forms, photo galleries, and other social tools like Cover It Live. Demand had actually previously invested in Cover It Live in 2009 and already started integrating it into Pluck back then. So now they can integrate it all they want.
Not having done a lot of
They can
live
integrate the
blogging
Pluck out of
myself at CNET or at TechCrunch, have you guys used Cover It Live before? Because I'm not familiar.
I don't typically use it, but I don't do a lot of live blogging, rapid pace at these events anymore. But we do. Some of the guys do use Cover It Live, so I don't know how this will affect that at all. I hope it stays the same, but I don't know.
Engadget's reporting on a few reviews of Intel's Core i7-990X, calling it the best performance ever.
Best performance
However, far from best value. It has a screaming 3.46 gigahertz default speed that can be turbo boosted to 3.73 gigahertz, 12 megabytes of L3 cache, and 3 channels for DDR3 memory. So fastest chip ever tested possibly, but still not enough to justify the $999 price tag, say most reviewers. $1,000 is still too much.
TechCrunch reports Disney has acquired an HTML5 gaming engine startup called Rocket Pack, based out of Helsinki, Finland. A spokesperson said Rocket Pack provides an integrated solution for plug-in-free browser game development. No Flash required, and no App Store required either. So maybe we know why they're doing this.
Yeah, this is also a big movement that Facebook has been pushing a lot too. They're trying to get more and more developers doing HTML5 stuff, and specifically around games. So this could play into that as well.
2 senators teamed up on the hunt for spectrum for wireless internet. Looking far and wide, Senators Olympia Snowe and Senator John Kerry introduced legislation that aimed at solving some of the biggest threats to the mobile internet. Among promoting innovation and all that good stuff, the act will take an inventory of who owns what spectrum, something that incredibly does not exist.
Doesn't exist? We don't have a list of who owns what?
No, but the senators will figure it out. They're going to get to the bottom of this.
Crime-fighting senators Snowe and Kerry are on the case. All right, got a couple of things to finish up with. Scientists have invented a tractor beam, or at least they've got the concept that they think will actually work. Essentially, shooting lasers at a target, and as the atoms or molecules of the target absorb and re-radiate the incoming light, the fraction re-radiated forward along the beam direction actually interferes and gives the object a push backwards towards the source, which acts like suction. So you can pull with the light beam.
Pull what?
Any object, like you. I could shoot you and just like drag you along.
That is awesome. It's like a lasso, a virtual lasso.
Have you ever seen Star Wars?
Or a tractor beam.
Take me to your leader.
Listen, I'm just trying to, I don't know.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
Digital lasso, that's good.
And
It's a digital, it's going to make rodeos fun again.
You have to swing it over your head, too, before you actually put it
Yeah.
It's a particular kind of laser that they have to use called a Bessel beam.
So sorry, I'm not up on the laser lingo, everybody.
All right, fine. How about this? The time zone maintainer is retiring.
Okay.
It's used in Java. It's used in every flavor of Linux and Unix. In SQL, Oracle databases, RFCs refer to it. It's a time zone database that keeps all of these crazy time zones relevant and equal in all of these programs. And it has been maintained voluntarily, not by a government agency, not by a committee, but by Arthur.
Arthur, the time zone maintenance guy.
Arthur David Olson has maintained the database, coordinated the mailing list and the volunteers, and provided a release platform. And he's tired. He's done. He's like, I'm retiring. So the IANA is developing a transition strategy, but really, really
Thanks for
interesting.
nothing, Arthur. We need you. Well, I guess he's been hard at work for a long time now.
Yeah, for sure. I think he deserves a break.
Okay.
Yeah, a little time off.
Well, then you have my applause, Arthur. We loved all the work that you did for us in the time zone
Arthur
arena.
Olson.
To Arthur.
Well done. On to the calendar. Speaking of time.
Bing's launching deals.
Yes, that is right. Bing is getting into the whole deal. Everybody's getting into like Groupon, Living Social, all that stuff.
I'm so tired of deals. I don't have a good reason.
You don't like
for
saving
it.
money?
You want rip-offs.
Big
rip-offs.
It's the next big wave.
Normal price.
I want to pay double or nothing. No, it's not that I of course I like deals, but it's that coupon culture that you end up spending more because you just convince yourself. It's like women.
Right, that's why the
and
companies do it.
sales.
I mean,
well, exactly. That's
want you to
why
come in and buy stuff.
I'm weary of the whole deal thing. But whatever.
So tired.
So tired.
Like David Olson. Arthur David Olson.
Arthur, yes, Arthur. Well, he was doing some good work. He was maintaining time zones.
Right.
Okay, that's not some coupon.
The whole world's time zones.
That's not half off my next meal or anything.
That's right.
Apple iOS 4.3 GM available now to developers.
Gold, baby, gold.
I'm not
That's
a
not
developer.
a big surprise, but it's out.
Yeah. Motorola Zoom 3G arrives in the UK for £600 and gets a listing on Amazon.de. That's Germany.
Deutschland.
For €700. So £600, €700. That's about the same, isn't it?
Is that?
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's close.
Because to US dollars is almost twice what pounds would be. So it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. The LG Optimus Pad listed on, again, Amazon's German site for a slightly less hefty £899 off of, what was it originally?
I think there was a rumor there was going to be €1,000.
Oh my gosh, really? I think €900 still sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Julian Assange sets out to bid to appeal his extradition to Sweden.
We're
Not a
expecting
surprise.
that as well.
He
Yeah.
had what? He had 30 days from the
It's
point that
7 days.
it was 7.
And this was the
Gosh,
7th
was that just
day.
a week ago now?
He didn't rest. He appealed.
Yeah. Well, that's
He wanted to wait till the last
He said he
minute,
would.
last possible second.
So he was the
Such a
man of his
procrastinator.
word, I guess. Sony's PSP Go officially drops to 150 bones. That's American dollars.
Yes.
Gee.
Sometimes
Sometimes we
even
call
know,
them bones.
I cover the stuff. I have no idea what a PSP Go is. Is it?
That's
just
the one
like-
without the UMD slot.
Oh, okay. I still don't know.
It's the worthless one.
Oh, it's the one that's $150.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So that's the one. And a reminder that our South by Southwest coverage is coming up, not this weekend, but next, on March 12th and 13th. That's Saturday and Sunday. We're doing a bunch of stuff. We'll be out roaming around, using the live view, talking to people, going to parties. It's going to be great. Sunday the 13th is our big day. We will be shooting an episode of TNT, this show live, episode of TWiT live. We'll have a meetup afterward. That all happens at a place called Momo's, which is at 6th in Rio Grande, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And please come. We have a Plancast, by the way, plancast.com/twit. It gives you all the information that you might not already have. And if you can't be with us, you can watch us because we'll be streaming everything live at live.twit.tv. So join the party at home.
And all of the tech celebrities you care about will be there.
At our meetup,
We're going to have Baratunde. We're going to have Callie Lewis.
it's going to be great.
Felicia Day.
you
You,
gonna-
me, Leo. I don't know if you care about them. But
Yeah. I mean, you're sick of us, but we'll be there.
yeah. Veronica Belmont.
It'll be fun.
It's going to be a blast. You
We're going to
gotta
have a
come
good
by.
time.
You're going to be at South by Southwest?
I will be there.
MG Siegler will be
MG
there.
Siegler is going to come by.
See?
He's going to be picking up the tab.
I heard that.
It's
I heard
really,
that too.
Well, he works for
I got,
I know
a big,
you
I got
like
a
the-
big discount. I'm gonna.
I know you like
use
the
that.
Bowmore Scotch, but the 18-year-old is the best.
Is it?
Yeah, and most expensive.
Well-
so there you go.
Now we know what MG will be buying all of us.
On to the voicemail. 260-TNT show is our phone number, or you can email us a video like Derek did. He's responding to Sony, or actually Nintendo from yesterday.
Hey Hey, TNT crew. This is Derek calling from New York City. In response to Nintendo CEO Iwata's comments yesterday, the issue isn't that there's a splintering in the mobile gaming industry. In fact, I think Nintendo's biggest worry is that some of their biggest partners, Capcom, Square Enix, etc., have been developing games for the iOS platform. Quality games such as Super Street Fighter 4, The Sims 3, Angry Birds, all in the 3DS lineup, as well as classics such as Secret of Mana, Civilization, Grand Theft Auto, Mega Man, Resident Evil, Madden. Well, not only are they available for the iOS platform, but all the games put together is still cheaper than one 3DS game. Just a thought. Love the show, guys.
I like how it looks like he's in a video game.
Yeah, he actually recorded that in a really beautiful area of New York, and we couldn't hear him. So we asked him to re-record, and he was like, okay, I had to go somewhere quiet and ugly.
It was like moments later, an army guy came down from above him, and that was the end of Derek.
But what do you think of that point? I mean, I think he's right. Like, these games just are too expensive. And that's one of the reasons we like mobile games. And they're 99 cents.
Right, 99 cents, at most $5 or whatever. And that's, way less than all those other ones. Of course, Nintendo still has its bread and butter things, Mario and Zelda, which they aren't putting on iOS anytime soon. But all those other games, I don't know why you go with that way.
Now, I got a little bit reactionary about the hype over the cover of the iPad 2 yesterday.
I believe you said something like $70 for a piece of leather?
For a useless piece of leather, I may have said. But, while many of you agreed with me, there were some who had different perspectives, like this caller.
Hey, TNT crew. I'm not going to get into the whole names because I'll just hurt someone's feelings. I was just watching the show and listening to you guys talk about the uselessness of the cover for the iPad 2. When I saw this, I knew exactly who it was marketed to. Owners of cats. I have cats. The number one thing they like to do is step on my iPad. So if I had something I could just put over the glass, set it aside, cats can walk on it all they want, don't hurt the screen, that's perfect. Thanks. Love the show.
Now, as also a cat owner,
possibly potential crazy cat lady.
Totally certified. I'm the mayor of Crazy Cat Lady Town. You can do this with a regular case too, though. So it's not as if the cover is just this new thing that will keep your cat off of your iPad. I love the idea of the cover, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I mean, my Dodo case will also keep cats from walking on my iPad.
I am a big lover of this cover. I got to play with it yesterday.
You're a cover lover?
I am a cover lover.
I'm glad you were able to say that. That's the first step.
No
Let
me get that out there.
I need to get that out there. I got to play with it yesterday, at the hands-on time after the event. It is, it's really great. I mean, it's crazy that no one did this before. I mean, I guess, the magnet stuff is a big part of this, and Apple knew exactly the specs that they would be working with. But it works really well for what it's trying to do, which is just, cover the iPad.
I'm surrounded.
From cats. On the back. From cats, yeah.
Nitin wrote in and said, geez, Tom, I know the Apple Smart Cover is a little overpriced, but doesn't feel just like just a piece of cloth to me, at least. I own a case, which I only use when I go outside to protect the screen, and then a Griffin loop stand when I'm in bed to prop up the iPad to use it to read and watch stuff. Apple's cover can do both for me now, hopefully. I'm optimistic that it will, but what's with all the yelling? All right, it probably wasn't worth the yelling. But
well,
I'll tell you, I explained my biggest problem with it was the fact that it's a thing that when I take it off, now I have to remember where I left it and what I'm doing with it.
You can just fold it around the back. It stays like hinged.
But it's not attached. I'm going to knock it. I'm not going to knock it off. Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's attached by a magnet to the side of the iPad, and then
by a
magnet. Put it around the back. Yeah,
I don't believe in magnets.
It's pretty.
You don't believe in magnets? How do you plug in your MacBook? Huh?
And this thing gets knocked off all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not as good as the one that actually was attached.
How many times a day are you like, geez, this magnet sure doesn't work?
It just won't stay in there.
At least once on average.
You're going to see this thing and you'll be sold. You'll be sold.
All right. Well, that's what ZX has been saying in the chat room. He's like, you need to see it before you get so mad. So I will take his challenge and I will reserve my judgment on the cover until I actually see it.
You might be an undercover, no longer undercover cover lover.
That's possible.
As well.
Cover hater.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Next email from Mark Howell, who has a theory about the cover. the cover, not a case. Everyone thought it was strange when Apple announced this bumper case for the iPhone 4. The reason for that became clear when the antenna problem cropped up. With the dual-core processor, though, and 9 times faster graphics, the iPad 2 is probably giving off a lot more heat, and I bet covering the back with a traditional case creates an overheating problem. So having just a cover for the front, which even puts the device in sleep mode when used, might just be to avoid heat issues. But now, MG, you had just said that you can, well, I guess if it's on the back and not the front,
right.
It's never both at the same time.
It's just wrapped around, right?
Right, and it's never like some of those, like the Dodo case, you know, where it's fully encapsulated within that thing. It's not like that at all. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe if Apple starts banning all the other cases, you know, that use that wrap fully around the iPad too, maybe.
I mean, even if that is the point, at least they made what sounds like a very designed well version of not overheating your iPad.
Just get ready for Covergate. I don't know if it's going to be based on the magnets or the overheating
It'll
issue.
erase your iPad somehow.
Something's going to come. Something bad is going to come.
I predict a lot of iPad 2 cover Halloween costumes this year. Just saying.
Just magnetic to the front.
Just a little magnet.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You want to see the back. You want to see the front.
product red leather
Only
one.
half is covered at once because I'm a cover, not a case.
Put it up behind your back so you can lean back.
Yeah.
All right, finally, Doug, responding to our story about, or we were discussing how folks in developing countries have phones even in places where there is not electricity, and we were speculating how that works. Doug says he lived among the Maasai people of Tanzania for 5 years. He says cell phones have been more widely adopted than any other technological object except for perhaps radios, more than TVs, cars, etc. Most do not have electricity, but they do go to market with their cows and other animals, and most successful markets have electricity and a cell phone tower. Most Maasai spend the day there, so enterprising businessmen have set up charging tables. The Maasai pay a flat fee to charge their phone. The going rate when I was there was equivalent to 50 cents U.S. Prepaid plans were the norm for the phones. Text messaging was more widely used as it was much cheaper. Cell phone companies had devised ways to send money over the phone so people living in the cities could send money to their families in the village. He says he has a lot more observations, but those cover. That's exactly what I was wondering. Is if you could just rent a little charging, even though you don't have electricity where you live.
That's really neat. I love this firsthand account of something that we just wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name of those people of Tanzania. Please do send me the correction so I know it from now on.
Maybe Maasai?
Maasai. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, MG Siegler, great having you on the show today, man. Thanks for coming all the way up to Petaluma.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Let folks know where they can find your work.
You can just find me at techcrunch.com. I'm always writing there all the time.
He's that Apple guy that upsets people a lot.
Right.
I make people vomit.
Because he likes the cover. Yeah.
That's a good thing to do regularly. You've got power.
And you can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. You can email us, TNT@twit.tv, or give us a call, 260-TNT-SHOW. We will see you tomorrow for Liquid Friday.
Gosh, you guys.
I was reading the chat room.
Not one of y'all danced. Felt like I really had to overcompensate to keep the party, happening.
I thought you were going to break your chair.
Well, I might have.
Don't worry, the people working on the new studio, they were dancing.
Were they?
Oh yeah, totally.
Look at that one guy. He's getting low.
How low can you drill?
Pretty low, apparently.